Welcome to the Babbert Precast Electric Pole Base DVD. Our employees are now placing the reinforcing steel into the form. The reinforcement consists of 6 vertical bars of 3/4 inch grade 60 with horizontal wrap-around bars which are 3/8 inch schedule 40. They are now placing the conduits into the form. We have 4 1-inch conduits to allow for the ground cable, 2 hot leads, and a spare. In this scene, you can see the plastic high chairs on top of the adjustable form base. You could see the ends of the PVC conduit in the previous form taped over to prevent concrete from entering. This form is adjustable, allowing for heights of 6 feet, 8 feet, and 10 feet. The high chairs and spacers provide for 3 inches of concrete coverage, which is a requirement to make sure there is sufficient concrete over the rebar. Here you can see the Babbert Ready Mix truck backing up to the concrete hopper, which will be used to discharge the concrete into the light pole base form. The mix is a self-consolidating concrete. The hopper is now being lifted and positioned over the form. We will use an internal vibrator to further consolidate this self-consolidating mix within the form. The concrete is being discharged through the chute into the form, and you can see a special cover over the ends of the conduit to preclude the concrete from entering the conduits. Now you can see the top of the form being finished off with additional concrete mix. Some additional vibration will occur to make sure that the form is entirely consolidated. Now he's removing the vibrator, and we are now placing the anchor bolts within the form. The bolts are held in place with a special jig while the concrete is still plastic. This adjustable jig allows for accurate placement of the anchor bolts in the concrete light base. Our margin trowel is used to finish the top of the light pole base around the anchor bolts to ensure a good, smooth quality appearance. The gantry crane is positioned over the cured light pole base. The jig is removed, and now a special lifting device is placed on top of the anchor bolts. This lifting device will be used to vertically lift the light pole base out of the form. This form is a 2-part form. The one side is fixed, the other side will hinge open to allow extrication of the cured light pole base from the form. Here you can see the form just opened, and it gives you a good concept of what it looks like in the form. Jim is inspecting the surface of the light pole base for quality. You can also see the adjustable base. Now the pole base has been lifted out of the form and is being moved over to be put into the wooden crib forms. Before it's rotated into position, the conduit holes are cleaned, the tape removed. This will allow for easy insertion of the male fitting into the female fitting in the form. Now we are positioning the rotating device. It allows the pole base to be rotated 90 degrees to a horizontal position so that it can be lifted onto the truck for transportation to the field. Now you can see Jim installing the safety chain and attaching the rotating device to the pole base. The pole base is lifted and rotated horizontally onto the wooden cribbing. The chain binder released and the rotating device removed from the foundation. Backing up the gantry crane, and they will load the pole base onto one of the Babbert trucks for transportation to the field. Here you see 3 of the foundations along with the transformer base. Here an EC Babbert operator along with the electrical contractor's employee is setting the transformer pad. Now you can see our trucks rotating from horizontal to vertical the electric pole base for position close to the hole. Our concrete strength is developed to the point where it is now safe for the anchor bolts to carry the load of the concrete base itself. That is part of the reason we use the rotating device to remove the base from the form. The concrete is still green at that point. We want to allow sufficient cure time for the anchor bolts to be secure in the concrete base. We should mention that our concrete tests at 4,400 psi at 3 days and has an air entrainment of 6% plus or minus 2. After the base is rotated into position, the electrical contractor is now inserting a piece of conduit into the male end. They actually glued it to the female fitting that is within the concrete pole base. The pole base is now being rotated into position. A hole has been drilled in the ground to receive the pole base, and you can see a trench has been dug for the conduit itself. They slowly lower the base down into the hole, and once in position they will unbolt the lifting plate, completing the installation of the light pole base. This greatly reduces the amount of time necessary for the electrical contractor to place a light pole base. Plus, they are not dependent on the weather or other elements that might interfere with a field pour situation. The main advantage, of course, of precasting these light pole bases is quality, proper anchor bolt placement, good concrete mix, as well as not having to work within weather elements. So, think of EC Babbert Incorporated for all of your precast needs, including precast electric pole bases.